Hey there, it's Lacy J from Space Bear Media, the makers of Lost in My 40s. Did you know that Space Bear Media also has a YouTube page where you can go to watch a video pre-show before every podcast episode? If you haven't watched it yet, stop, go there, do so, and then come back. Welcome back. We are here for episode 6. I can't believe it already. This is called House of the Rising Sun. It is a sun/Jinn sort of focused episode. And Derek, you are here to take us through this story today, yeah?
Yes, I am.
All right. Christy, Ben, you ready?
Ready.
Ready.
All right, Derek, take it away.
Okay, so the episode, it opens with Jack, Kate, and Charlie loading up their backpacks with empty water bottles to go fill them up in the recently discovered spring that they discovered in the caves. And they just has some casual conversation with them, and then it cuts to Jinn smashing the hell out of a fish, just smashing against this, rocks or whatever to try to kill it. And then the camera shows, shows Sun, and then it goes to the first flashback where she's actually at a very nice party. She's well dressed. Apparently, she is part of a wealthy family.
She's looking fine as hell with that long, wispy hair. Oh my gosh! I know they do that to try to make her look younger, I guess, than the shorter haircut. But damn, she was looking good.
Oh, outstanding.
Oh, you know what? There's one thing I want to point out, too, that the episode actually, once again, opens on an eye. It opens on Sun's eye while she's, like, sniffing flowers or whatever, but that's an important point, that's now happened to a character other than Jack. It's so far been Jack's eyes that have opened the show.
Well, no, didn't they
open
on Locke's eye?
Oh, did they lock, too? See?
Yes.
Anyways...
Okay, so we're back at the party, and a waiter comes up to offer her son champagne, and it's gin.
What?
Wait, it's champagne or it's gin? Which one?
It's gin and champagne.
Oh, so we've got like a princess and a pauper story now.
That's what that looks like it's shaping up to be. So it cuts to where she's sitting, on a bench, and Jin comes up, and they start talking, and Sun says, "Well, we need to elope. We need to go and leave together." But Jin says, "No, I'm going to talk to your father." And you can tell by Sun's reaction that doesn't appear to be a wise choice to make. So
she wants to run, right? I mean, she wants to just run away with Jin, but Jin is going to be way too much of a man for that. He's got to deal with Daddy.
Right, and apparently her father is some sort of, I don't know what kind of guy is boss. Yes.
Yeah. I Googled, I tried to look up Korean gangs because I was curious, if it was something like the Yakuza in Japan.
Right. That's what I first thought of.
I couldn't really find like a correlation or find anything that was like that. But that, to me, it felt like that's sort of what they were implying, right?
Exactly.
It's like her dad was the head of some sort of fancy illegal operation, I guess.
So then he gives her a flower, and, says he wishes it was a diamond, but for the time, it makes her happy.
Yeah, he's kind of romantic, even.
Yes. So it cuts back to the present, and then just casual day on the island, and all of a sudden, Jin just attacks Michael, just tackles him, throws him in the water, and just starts beating the living shit out of him. And it seems to go on for a while before Syed and Sawyer decide to come out of the fuselage that I guess still hasn't completely burned to the ground yet.
Yeah.
And pull them apart. They're fighting, screaming. I remember Sun was, crying out for help, telling Jin to stop attacking him.
And poor Walt is just standing there
Walt,
watching.
Walt even jumps in for a little bit, and Jin does kind of almost hit him, knocks him to the ground.
Yep.
I wrote down in my notes, oh, okay, Jin's a psycho. Got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's another thing Michael's not good at. He can't fight either.
No, he can't. I mean, I don't think he even got a punch in.
No, he didn't.
I did absolutely love Saeed's fucking tackle on Jin. He just
pretty badass.
Yeah.
He literally flew.
I guess in the Republican Guard, they teach you those kind of things.
Sploosh.
So they pull him apart, and the handcuffs come back into play, and they end up handcuffing Jin to a large piece of the wreckage. So now we go back in the jungle, and they're asking Jack, how did you find this water? And he said, I found it by luck. When in reality, it was his father may or may not have led it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's something you probably hesitate to tell people. Yeah, I followed the vision of my dead father. And did I tell you that
magically found his water?
Yeah, and did I mention the thing about the coffin that he wasn't in there? I mean, yeah, that.
Yes, my zombie father.
Yeah,
brought me to the fresh water.
Yes.
So they arrive at the wreckage at the cave, and Charlie decides to take upon himself to see if he can salvage anything. And Jack mentions, especially look for drugs. And Charlie perks up like, drugs. That gives him the idea. You know what? I need to go do a little bit of that heroin I have left. So he sneaks out of the cave, and as a creepy person would do, Locke all of a sudden appears.
Locke is sort of like in Half Baked when they're talking about the smoker, and Snoop Dogg just kind of floats up behind him.
Yeah.
And, I feel like Locke is that way. He just sort of creeps around and he just rises up behind people.
Right. Just all of a sudden you turn around. There's Locke. Hey, what's up?
Locke. So, man, I just quit smoking today.
So he tells Charlie, don't move. And Charlie's like, basically screw off, creepy old man. And he goes, no, don't move because you're standing on this beehive. And that's when Charlie looks down and the bees start flying around. And he says he has an irrational fear of bees, which actually I do too. That's the only insect I do not like. For some reason, I have that same issue that Charlie has in the show.
Huh.
A heroin addiction?
No, bees. So then it cuts back to the beach, and Charlie and his son are having a conversation, and he asks, well, why did Jin attack you? And Charlie says, well, Koreans don't like, I'm sorry. Michael says, Koreans don't like black people.
Yeah, he did say that.
Globally, that's a thing.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know. I think that might be like a Los Angeles sort of thing, or
I
New
can see
York,
that.
A more LA
sort of
vibe
thing.
kind of off of that than a global vibe.
Yes,
I was totally joking because it's ridiculous to think that people from Korea hate black people. I mean, but again, do they? I guess they know they are Korean. I guess they figured it out.
Really
Everyone but Hurley figured it out, I guess.
Right. Hurley still thinks they're Chinese.
Yeah.
So then we have another flashback, and Sun is, sitting in her father's extremely fancy garden, very nervously waiting. And Jin returns from the talk, and he kind of does a pause and says, your father gives me permission to marry you, but there's a catch. He has to do a year of management training and then a year working in his father's factory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Sun is like, oh, really? What? She didn't like that. She didn't like that he's going to be working for her father because she probably must know what her father does or has an idea.
Yeah, or suspects, right, that he's not going to be doing anything honorable.
So this guy that was a waiter, just one flashback ago, pops out a diamond ring and says, well, now I can afford to buy you one of these.
So basically, this is from your father.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So we cut back to the present, and Charlie is still standing on the beehive. And I think one of the bees stings him on the face or something because Locke had sent Jack to find something to cover up the beehive so it won't crack open and they can get away.
Locke suddenly knows how to deal with beehives. He's we've got to seal it with the what and the hook. And I'm like, come on.
And just as Jack is about to put the random piece of luggage on the beehive, Charlie freaks out and runs, and the beehive cracks open, and we have the chase where everyone's running away from the bees, and Kate and Jack run into the cave, minus some of their clothes, as they're running away from the bees.
That's a good moment. That's a good moment.
I wrote down, yes, fuck yes, strip off all your clothes.
Yeah, I wish they would have kept going,
I know.
Like I said, there's a drinking game. Every time one of the hot ones takes off their shirt, you're supposed to drink.
Okay.
I'd rather just masturbate.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That works too.
Yeah, as I'm admiring Kate and her nice bra, all of a sudden Jack finds mummified remains in the caves.
And I want to go back. I think you got to kind of feel for Charlie in this situation, because like he went into the forest to get some H, but he came out with just a bunch of bees.
Oh my God.
Yes, I just want you to sit on that one for a while. Just absorb it. I'm sorry. No, I'm not.
So back to the remains that are in the cave. Jack uses his doctor skills to kind of perform a brief autopsy and says that they were actually laid to rest there. There was no damage to them, so they weren't killed. They actually just died. And then looking at their clothes, he determined it was about 40 to 50 years that they've been there.
Yeah, because Jack's now some sort of forensic scientist that understands the decomposition of clothes on a magical island.
It's like any show on network TV, a scientist knows all science.
Yeah.
Right.
And a doctor, seriously. Like I can get he could be a particle physicist or something, and he'd also be, because he knows how to do that. He's probably also like a super botanist or something. Like, it's just they love to do that.
Well,
like, these people are all
take
superhuman.
the professor role from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Kate says to him in the scene, she's like, "Where would these bodies come from?" And Jack's like, "Didn't you shoot a polar bear last week? Where did that come from?" Yep. That's a good point, Jack. Good point.
Actually, Sawyer shot the polar bear, right?
He did, but I mean, I can't speak for the Jack's dialogue. It's not my fault.
Yeah,
got it wrong.
Yeah.
It must have been a collective you.
Yeah. The editorial you.
You all.
Everybody.
You are everybody. Come on, do the harmony with me. You are everybody.
This song is going to find into every episode.
Oh, yeah. Just wait until you get to Charlie's episode. All right.
So as Jack is forensically examining the bodies, he finds a pouch, and inside the pouch are two stones, one black and one white, which kind of goes back to the backgammon episode. So Charlie finally arrives with Locke, and he slips up and mentions, "Oh, are these the people that were here before us?" And Jack kind of looks like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then they decide to name these bodies because Jack determines that one of them is female, so they call them Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
So then we go back to the beach, and
Hold on.
Well,
hold on. Charlie says, no, I guess we're back on the beach. I'm sorry. I just don't want to miss this comment. Kate doesn't have her shirt on, and Charlie asked her why, and she said it's full of bees. And he responded, I'd have thought C's.
I'd have thought C's, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Charlie.
That's better
So
than
cringe.
it's better than
So
my
cringe.
age joke. I
maybe
wrote my
bees
age
for
joke.
boobs.
Oh, Charlie. All right. Sorry.
Charlie.
Go ahead.
So we're back on the beach, and Son is putting aloe on Jen's wrist because it's sore, but he keeps bitching at her, telling her it hurts and all that. I guess aloe is very useful for brushing your teeth and helping your handcuffed wrists. So we flash back, and now Jen and Son are living in a very nice apartment. She comes home shopping from some fancy store, high dollar shopping, and he gives her a dog to keep her company because apparently the year in the factory is taking up more of his time than he thought. And he also told you you're going to have to feed the dog, train the dog, and take care of the dog.
And he talks to her like
a
she's
fucking child.
Yeah, totally. Like, you're going to have to do
well,
this. It's like, oh, okay, thanks. Is it a gift, or are you just trying to give me some responsibility? What's going on?
Right.
Here?
Exactly. I wrote, Jen is turning into her father, and she hates it.
Yes. And then the father calls and the flashback ends.
And I want to jump in here. Like, what kind of father would want this sort of, like, would try to mold this type of husband for his own daughter?
Yeah.
Like, that's god awful. Like, I would think that you would want, successful or no, you'd want the person that marries your daughter to be, like, at least a good person.
I won't pretend to understand the classism that goes on in South Korea, but there is a classism that goes on. So, it doesn't matter so much how you got to be at the top of that food chain. You're at the top, and he wants his daughter to remain at the top. And so the only way for her to do that with Jin as a husband is for the father to bring Jin up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're back in the present. We're back in the caves, and Locke decides to stay with Charlie, and he's, to go through the wreckage. And he says so he can get to know him better, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Creeptastic
From
again.
a creepy guy, yeah.
He just slides up behind you.
Get to know, yeah.
He's like, oh, your shoulders look tight. You want to?
Oh my god.
So we have Jack and Kate are walking back to the beach, and they stop, take a breather, and he's thinking, and Kate thinks that she's checking her out, which I can't see why not.
Like, duh. Yeah. We all are, Kate.
Right. And so Jack proposes that they move to the caves because that's where the water is. They don't have to haul the water bottles back and forth. There'll be shelter from the sun, and it is a lot nicer than just staying on the beach with a bunch of sand and burnt up bodies.
Whose side are you on? I'm with Jack. I'm going to the caves.
Yeah, I'm going to the caves, absolutely, because you can tell by Kate's reaction and the fact that she says, "You haven't convinced me." She doesn't want to go to the caves.
Which is, it's interesting because this is like one of the biggest things of this episode are the two factions that start to happen, and I'm always surprised at where Kate lands because she's like, you can't go back to the real world, right? You're on the run. You're wanted. Yeah. Why would you not just settle in to the caves and eat fruit and bathe in the pools all day long? It just seems to me like, what are you doing?
Her entire disposition towards Jack changes in that scene. Like she's
big time.
She's like, are you checking me out? And he's like, no, I'm doing this. And for me, I'd be multitasking. I'd be trying to do that, but I'd also be like, man, I'm gonna tear that up.
Oh my god!
He had the opportunity right there, and she was giving him an in basically. And he kind of said, like, yeah, like not in that. No, I don't want that. That it doesn't even occur to me. And I think she feels a little hurt by that.
That's interesting.
The way that she acts with him is like, I feel like that's the first sort of wedge, and it is sort of a weird way a weird place to drive a wedge between them. And it's sort of just like, a woman jilted almost.
That's so weird that's what you get from that scene. I never thought of it that way. I could see it that way. But
it was a little arrogant for her to be like, "Are you checking me out?"
Is it?
Yeah, she wanted it though. She wanted to flirt.
Because, of course I'm checking you out. Have you looked at you?
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm saying it's arrogant of her.
When you know, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's what she thought he was going to, do. Was like, hey, let's do it. We're alone in the woods. Let's take care of business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see your point.
So back to Jin and Sun. Sun wants to explain what happened. And Jin is like, no, you can't do that. Thinking, well, you can't communicate with them anyway. Or can you? So we go to another flashback, and Jin comes home covered in blood. So now kind of figure out what's going on in this whole with the father. So he goes in the bathroom, he's washing, he's trying to clean it off the blood. Son comes in the bathroom and keeps asking, what did you do? What are you doing? Why? What happened? Whose blood is this? And he refuses to tell her. And finally, she just reels back and pops him right in the face, gives him a good old slap.
Good for her.
I thought at first, like, oh, crap. Knowing Jin now, I thought he was going to, knock her out, but he didn't. He refrained.
No, but he was left looking sinister as fuck.
Yes, he was.
Like the look on his face, the blood. It's just like, holy shit, how far into this is he? He even says, what do you do for my father? Right?
And he says, whatever he asks.
Yeah.
And today he had to deliver a baby in the hallway outside their apartment.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
You guys just, you always think the worst of him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we now know that Jen is doing some bad things for her father.
Yeah.
So we come back to the present. We're back at the cave. Charlie and Locke, they're still just kind of talking. And Charlie now wants to go use the loo, as they call it over there. But Locke wants to keep following him. That's what creepy old man again.
I know. Jesus.
You want to watch some movies about gladiators?
Yes.
Fuck.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Oh my God.
So then Locke says, I know who you are. And Charlie goes, no, you don't. But Locke says, no, you're in that band Drive Shaft. And all of a sudden Charlie's like, oh, great. Sits down.
Finally, somebody knows Drive Shaft.
And he talks about, you like to, I think he said he played bass. He goes, I've also played guitar. And they talk about, his missing guitar. The guitar's on the plane. They had to check it. Those fucking baggage handlers again. There's no room in the cabin for it. So he thinks that it's, smashed to shit. He even says it's been 8 days and 11 hours since I last played my guitar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another example of keeping perfect time on the Magic Island.
Yep.
So Jack gets back on the beach, and he's going around, starting to ask people about moving to the caves. And the first person he comes to is Saeed, and Saeed says, pretty much a hard no. He wants to stay on the beach, keep the fire going because they're waiting for rescue. So obviously there's, Jack thinks that there's no hope of rescue, but there's a lot of people that really believe they're going to be rescued. And so they said, even Saeed says to move would be defeat.
I wrote down, I'm with Jack. We need to find a way to live. However, Saeed is sexy when he's mad.
Yes, that's true.
Well, when you're faced with defeat, you just got to put shoes on.
I knew it.
Yes.
I knew something was coming.
Had to have the cobbler.
Jesus Christ.
So then Saeed goes to Michael and apologizes to him. Because earlier in the episode, he kind of accused Michael of what were you doing, almost interrogating.
Like, why did Jen attack you? What did you do?
Right. Yeah, he kept going back, and Michael's like, I did nothing. I'm just walking on the beach with my son. And Michael also says he's going to stay on the beach. We come across Hurley. He didn't really have much in this episode. He's going to the caves. And
Hurley asks Jack if he and Kate are going to move into a cave together.
And I think Jack says, what are we, in high school?
Yeah.
It was adorable. There's clearly sexual tension there.
I know. They're teasing me with it constantly. I just want it to happen. I want to watch Kate and Jack in the caves.
So then we go to a nice solo beach scene with Sawyer and Kate, and he asks her if she's going to go with the pessimists to the caves or stay on the beach with the optimists, but she doesn't tell him.
He also calls Saeed Captain Falafel.
Oh my God.
That's right.
He busts out Captain
worst.
Falafel and Freckles, like within the same, like.
Yes.
I mean, Freckles is okay, but Captain Falafel.
I know.
Right.
That one goes way further than calling him Omar or, Abdul.
Yeah.
I do really enjoy falafel.
He puts the awful in falafel.
Oh.
Jesus. I'm going to die of a dad joke.
Oh, man. It's all I got. That's really it.
Yeah, I think Ben needs to write dad jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Bad dad jokes.
Oh, yeah. That's the only kind.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then we go to a scene where Michael is chopping bamboo, and like pretty much everything else, he's not doing a good job at it.
No.
He can't hunt. He can't chop bamboo.
He can't chop shampoo.
Yeah. Bamboo.
I want to know, where the fuck did they get an axe? This was post 9/11. So it's not like there was just an axe in the fucking fuselage waiting for someone to break the glass.
It's true.
Well, I think they still have axes in planes, though.
I thought... That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Was it in Locke's suitcase?
Yeah, maybe.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was in Locke's baggage.
Could have been.
And while he's making this feeble attempt, Sun is watching him, watching him now. So we flash back again to Sun and Jin. They have a decorator, in their apartment. And Jin, he's like not really interested in it and actually gets mad that the dog is on the couch. So they go to the Sun and the decorator go into the bedroom. And that's when it turns out this decorator is more than just that. And it's she's going to help Sun flee the marriage and her father.
Yeah, so now this is like the first time. Let's see, what are we in? Episode 6?
6.
So leading up through these episodes, it's been implied that she's in a bad situation. And now it's finally confirmed. Like, oh, yeah, she really wanted out. That sucks.
So she gives her son instructions to make an excuse to leave the airport at exactly 11:15. And where she's going to meet a car with nothing. She's just going to leave just whatever she has on her. And she kept having her repeat over and over, 11:15, 11:15, and it kind of fades to the present. Where Sun approaches Michael and speaks English. She can speak fluent, clear English. And we find out why that Jin attacked Michael for no reason. After he asks, why did you speak English this whole time? You've been speaking English? And she goes, well, I don't want my husband to know. He doesn't know. Which kind of ties into she was going to flee the country. So obviously she had learned English on her own to, because she knew she was going to be leaving. So it turns out the reason Michael was attacked was this watch that he had pilfered from the wreckage was her father's.
I think Jin had actually made the determination that he was just useless and he's one extra mouth to feed and needed to go.
Yeah.
So, okay. What the fuck, Jin? Could you not just kind of like go over to Michael, be like, oh, hey, that's my watch or something?
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just point at the watch and then point at yourself. Like,
right. I mean, I
know
feel
he
like
can't
there would
use
have
his
been
words, but
I feel like there'd be some other way to communicate that. And like, why is he so mad at Michael? What did he expect? I mean, it's not like he personally robbed him. Everybody's shit was strewn all over the fucking beach. He picked up a watch. What is your deal, dude?
I think possibly.
Why wasn't the watch on his wrist?
I guess it was in the luggage, or I don't know. He was protecting it, or whatever.
Maybe they just had stuntmen on set that day, and they're like, hey, we're paying these guys. Like, let's just use them. Let's just use them
for fistfights.
Yeah.
Good for ratings.
It's true because we hadn't had a fight since I think it was earlier episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I just don't understand Jin's thought process. Like there were other ways to communicate. I'd like that watch back outside of like being a psycho. But whatever.
I think that's almost on purpose to like Christy was talking about. Like it's a different set of values or a different sort of a different set of values, and it makes, I think, doing that and having him react that way kind of shows how sort of like alien his way of thinking is, and it doesn't really mesh with the others. So I think it's actually very purposeful that that overreaction was there.
All right.
So Sun tells Michael that she needs his help. So then we cut back to the cave, or outside the caves, and Locke is trying to get Charlie to give up the heroin finally. And he said something about his guitar. He goes, what do you want more, your heroin, your drugs, or your guitar? And he said, my guitar, which kind of find that kind of strange. But anyways.
Are you a musician?
No.
Well, I mean,
might say that you wouldn't understand if you're not a musician. Kind of deal.
I am a musician, and I would say this, knowing the environment of tropical islands, unless you have a graphite guitar, that guitar is going to fall out of tune really quickly, and your strings are going to rust in a matter of weeks. It's not going to be playable, possibly, within like 3 months. Whereas, you could chase a dragon another couple days, maybe. So
I was just thinking like the physical addiction of the heroin would be much stronger than the guitar.
Yeah.
And the withdrawals.
Yeah.
Because, Locke does bring that up. So Locke said something to Charlie like, well, I can help you find the guitar. You just got to give up the heroin because the island, you have to get something from the island, you have to give something up.
Yeah, so here's Locke. This is like now he's starting to refer to the island as a sentient thing.
Yes.
That can give and take and make decisions and accept offerings and things. I think this is some of the first dialogue where he starts down that road.
Yeah, it's sort of a slippery slope from this to Joe and the volcano.
Oh, Jesus.
So Charlie decides to give up the heroin, and Locke says, "Look up." And magically, there's the guitar in perfect condition after falling from 40,000 feet, lying on the side of a cliff. So we cut back to the beach, and Jack is telling Kate, "All right, it's time to go. We're going to the caves." And that's when she says, "No, I'm not going." She doesn't want to be Eve. And then Jack says, and asks her, why, what made you this way? Why have you become this way? And she won't say why.
No, she said, you had your chance before.
Yeah, you had your chance.
She tried to tell him, why she was on the run, and he didn't want to hear it. So,
right.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes after this little exchange, did Jack and Kate just break up?
I don't know,
I think when she said you had your chance, she also meant like you could have just taken me against that tree earlier.
Yes.
Oh.
So you missed 2 chances already.
He missed 2 chances, yeah. Well. You don't want to know me, and you don't want to know me.
So Jack says, well, you know where to find me. And she replies, you know where to find me too. So then Michael goes to Jen and returns the watch. And tells him, basically stay the fuck away from me, raises the axe, and breaks the handcuffs and sets Jen free.
Yeah, okay. He did do that.
Exactly.
With one whack, he hits the chain of the handcuffs.
Well, he just wasted the handcuffs. What if they need those in the future? He could have just found the key.
Yeah.
Okay, but the other thing, what I had to pay a little bit of attention to was the fact that Michael knows that this person doesn't speak English and that this person just beat the shit out of him earlier. But he thinks that it's cool to walk up with an axe, wielding it, and yelling at him for 45 seconds, which
when you yell at someone who doesn't speak your language, that helps them understand.
When they hear it.
Exactly, the louder, yeah.
So meanwhile, he just has to terrorize him for a good 45 seconds before he cuts the handcuffs. I thought it was a little bit unnecessary for him to do that, but whatever.
For a guy who can't use the axe to cut bamboo, swinging that thing, that's a sort of like Locke throwing the knife. It's sort of like, okay, I get it. We're playing with weapons here, but all of a sudden he's like a fucking lumberjack with that thing, nails it on the first strike. And the same thing that Christy said, those handcuffs could come in real handy. I didn't even mean that, but those things could come in real handy later on. Again, Michael just showing how he's not even worthless anymore. He's actually a detriment to them.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So we flash back to the airport, and you can kind of hear at the beginning the part where Jack is arguing with the gate agent about the coffin, and you can see Sun is watching the clock. She's very nervous, worried, and Jen is waiting in line for his turn, and the clock turns 11:15, but she doesn't go. She doesn't leave, and actually eventually walks back and stands next to him where he gives her another flower. And she starts crying, and he asks her, why are you crying? And she lies and says, because the flower is so nice.
That's a tough moment.
So we come back into the caves where people, Charlie is playing his guitar, so he's happy, off his heroin, cured. And the others start arriving that decided to stay in the cave. All right, so then the song starts playing. Jen and Sun are actually included in the group that go to the caves, and a song starts playing in the background, and it says, one of the lyrics I keep hearing, is this where you want to be? It does the montage of various characters.
It's a great. Who was it? I thought that was like Willie Nelson at first when I heard that. Is it? Okay.
I had to look it up, but it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like Willie Nelson.
But it was a great song to pick for the moment.
Yeah,
because you've seen the two factions basically.
Yeah.
Right, and the very
cavers
last
versus the beach people.
Yeah. The very last moment, it plays that lyric, "Are you sure this is where you want to be?" And then pauses on Kate's face.
Yeah. Staring into the flames.
Yeah.
And then that cuts to Jack also staring into the flames as well at his fire.
Right.
Those are their passions. They're both.
So I guess, they did break up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the episode.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, babe?
Got any special occasions coming up that you need a card for?
Is this a trick question?
No, it's an advertisement.
Is this about barbcards.com again?
Bingo.
So I suppose you're going to remind me that each handmade card is only $1.50.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't come with busy backgrounds or flowery poetry?
You got it. Barbcards.com offers to-the-point communication within several different categories, including our favorite, potty mouth. And if you can't find what you want, barbcards.com can do customizations.
Can I still get all of my cards for no more than $4 shipping, no matter the size of the order?
You know it. Barbcards.com has got all you need. Hey, Ben.
Oh my God, what are we selling now?
Merch.
Our merch?
Yes, sir. Shirts, coffee mugs, wine tumblers, bottle openers, stickers, magnets, and more. Your choice of product and your choice of Space Bear Media graphic from any of our podcasts.
Please tell me we're not making merch now, too.
Of course not. We'll stick to podcasts, and Pixis products will do the rest.
Thank God. I bet you have more to say, though.
Sure do. Pixis Products is a small business run by a local mom, well, local to us anyway, who needed something else to do besides being a snack bitch.
A what?
A snack bitch, also known as a mom with a young child.
There's still more, isn't there?
Yepers! Pixis Products works with other small businesses for supplies, art, and other collaborations at every opportunity, including ours. In fact, Pixis Products even gave Space Bear Media our own storefront on their site. You can find us at shopspacebear.com.
Say what?
You heard me. Go to shopspacebear.com and buy something. All right. Let's move into our recurring segments. First thing I want to do, because we didn't do it at the top of the episode, which I think we're going to try to make a habit from now on. Ben, would you like to review our power rankings before we get into our other segments?
Yeah. I mean, no surprises here. I mean, we're seeing some folks emerge. Kate is she's out in front by a good margin. Jack is right behind her, and we've got Locke in third place, and looks like Saeed is in fourth place. Everyone else is sort of a middle of the pack. As far as the worst, so far, Shannon is still the worst, but Boone is starting to gain on her. And Jin is in third place, and Michael is in fourth place. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. But we still actually have, and in fifth place is Randy. Randy Douchebag.
Randy
yes.
Douchebag Nations. He's still there.
Randy Douchebag Nations.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So here's some trivia. I'm gonna go with a piece of trivia for this week's interesting facts. This is the first flashback where two characters appear. However, we still only get the point of view of one of them, which was Sun, of course. Three of us know the other half of that story, and one of us, Derek, will find that out in episode 17. How about best and worst? Ben?
Best moment. I'll do two best moments because one of them is is sort of obvious from a pervert male perspective. Like Kate stripping when they're running from the bees. I mean, obviously that's just good eye candy.
Hey.
But my favorite sort of scene from a not, juvenile standpoint is when Locke points up at the guitar, You know, even though like I'm cynical about the guitar, like I know it's not going to work for much longer, but like when you see Charlie's face when he sees the guitar there, like I really like that moment. Charlie's been one of those characters to me that I'm sort of like, yeah, but I think I actually do sort of understand that feeling of like, you know, oh, I got my guitar, I feel better. Worst moment, Michael swinging the axe to get Jin out of the handcuffs or whatever. Like it was
gratuitous
and like
extra.
Considering they had a key.
Yeah,
they had a key.
That was just ridiculous.
You know, obviously they have the lock. Just a stupid scene that makes no sense and once again galvanizes Michael as one of the biggest losers on the island. So my favorite character is, I think, first is still Locke. You know, he's sort of the shaman magician, and he's like every time he's around, shit's happening, which I think is kind of cool that he's sort of that sort of dynamo on the island. And then, you know, worst character, I've got to say at this point, Shannon was my least favorite, but I think Michael has overtaken her.
All right.
And then who I'd fuck. I think I have to say Sun in this one because I mean I always thought she's hot, but when they're actually showing her in the like in her get up at that party at the beginning, like she's really beautiful. And who I'd kill, Michael. I'd take that axe. I'd probably just beat it. I wouldn't kill him like that. I'd probably beat him with the other end of it, make it last a bit longer.
With a dull end, yeah.
Exactly. No, with a wooden end.
Oh, even worse.
It would be really difficult to do. You have to just keep.
It'll hurt more.
It'll hurt more.
Right.
All right, Derek, best and worst.
The best scene for me was at the end when they were, you know, showing the montage and they showed Kate and Jack and, you know, but the words, you know, is this where you want to be? Because is it really where they want to be? And the worst was just Michael screaming at Jin about the watch, knowing he didn't understand. And then, of course, you know, breaking the handcuffs. Best character is Locke, you know, because, you know, he helps Charlie kick the heroin habit and finds his guitar. No matter, you know, how long it's going to last, who knows. But worst character is Michael, just because he's useless and all he does is scream. He can't even fight.
No, nothing. I mean, and he is yet to engage in his calling as a cobbler. Like,
yeah, exactly. We still fuckable is Sun because yes, when they did the flashbacks, she looked really hot.
Yeah,
and killable is Michael. Just beat him with the wooden end of that axe.
He's going to be plummeting in the power rankings after this episode.
Yeah, he really is. Christy, best and worst.
Okay, I have two best moments. Saeed doing that fucking full tackle on Jin was, and Sawyer coming to help Michael, because aside from shooting the polar bear, that is the most selfless thing that Sawyer has done the whole time. And then the second moment is the moment that Sun speaks English and the look on Michael's face. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Right. Like after
that
all
was
that.
classic.
Yeah.
After he got his ass beat.
Yeah. And then the worst moment for me was, there are two of these also, Jin almost killing Michael. It was so uncalled for. And I know that we're like kind of hating on Michael, but Jin kind of started it. So, you know.
Yeah.
Plus he went way overboard. I mean, he was really beating the crap out of him.
He tried to drown him.
It was really, really scary. And then
that much rage.
Another worst moment would be, you know, most cringeworthy was the comment that Charlie made about, you know, taking off the shirt because it was full of bees. And he said, I'd have thought C's actually.
I loved it. I love that. That got my dad joke. You know, that just got my engine going.
Nasty.
Anyway, best and worst characters. My favorite character was the interior decorator.
Oh, all right.
Because anyone who helps a woman escape from an abusive relationship is awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I thought it was interesting. She said you just have to hide out for a week and then you can go anywhere you want. So they just give up looking for her after a week.
Apparently, then she's dead.
Yeah.
And then the worst character for me is Jin. Once again, I know you guys think Michael is worse, but Jin was the one who started it. I also didn't care for the way Jin treated Sun when he gave her the puppy, you know, and he's like, oh, you have to feed it and walk it, and fuck you.
Is that what he said?
Exactly.
No. It's Chinese.
Yes.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Okay, moving on. Fucking kill. I'd fuck Saeed. That tackle, man. That was hot.
Ooh, yeah.
And then kill Jin. I mean, he's clearly not just the poor waiter who fell in love with Sun in the beginning. He's definitely a changed man.
He's a killer.
Oh, yeah. All right. My best and worst moment is two sides of Sun. Best moment when you find out she's running. Worst moment is when she chickens out. She's my number one character, though, this week. I relate to her. I've been in an abusive relationship, and I know how hard it is to leave. So I relate to that part of her.
Why are you talking about us right now?
You can leave anytime right now.
We have another podcast for that. Like,
it's not you, and you know that.
it wasn't blood; it was cran apple.
Worst character is Jin, because, like, I get his motives are noble. He's in love with her. He wants to be with her or whatever, but he's throwing away both of their lives by working for her father. So that makes me mad. I'm fucking Sun with long hair. And
really hot with the longer hair.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to kill Michael. Because yes. I thought that whole axe scene was just totally out of control. I know Jin was too, but something about maybe I just like Michael less, so I don't know. I'm gonna kill him.
Well, at least Jin can fish.
Fine.
Michael can't do shit.
Yeah, it's so bad.
All right. So final impressions. I'll start there. This episode is exploring the idea of, like, do we hang on to the past and hope we're rescued, or do we push forward into the future and kind of accept that we're here is essentially the overview of the episode. I think it's interesting. I'm on the side of the caves. I'm figuring out how to live there. If somebody rescues me, great, but I need to survive now. So that's where I fall, but I appreciate the separation, and I think it's interesting that they're falling into two camps at this point. Ben, what's your final impression?
Sort of the same. I think there's sort of two aspects of it. I do love how, like, this is the first episode where you start to see, like, the rise of tribalism. Mm-hmm. You know, you got the cave, you got the beach. And, like, if you think about the very end of the last episode where Jack gives this sort of rousing speech about unity and all that, and then as this episode progresses, the circumstances sort of start eating away at that immediately. And it's almost like the island, in the way that you said it's sort of becoming more sentient, it's almost like it's creating these situations to sort of separate and drive people apart. So, like, the rise of the tribalism, I really like. Yeah, never mind. That's about it.
Christy?
Yeah, I'm very much in line with the two of you. I would want to go to the caves myself, but I like the idea that there are people still on the beach trying to, attract rescue. Because I wouldn't be able to live on the beach. The caves would be much more habitable for.
Oh my God, girl! You and I would have had our skin would have blistered within 30 minutes of landing on that.
I think all of us would. Yeah.
Our skin, like, it would be just peeling off. It would be so gross.
Oh,
yeah.
So yeah, we would need to go to the caves. Absolutely.
I just did. I think having people on the beach, having people in the caves, you can do both of those. Right.
Yes.
And the whole reason why they didn't want to be on the beach, other than the sun, was because they would have to lug water back and forth. Right. But now they have like half the people that are on the beach. So you can have, I've played enough resource management games in my life to know you get your low, your unskilled workers to be the pack mules. They go back and forth and take the water. Okay. Michael, until he gets his sinks his teeth into being a cobbler, he could just be a water mule.
They said 21 gallons a day because it was a half gallon for 42 people.
Yeah. Why can't they just strap it onto Vincent?
Oh,
well, because he like everywhere he goes, there's
a little water pack like over his back and have him run back and forth.
Because blood and carnage follows that beast.
Yes.
Fine.
Little doggy Sherpa pack.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Those. I see him on the trails.
You can see Locke. He's like, guess what I made? They're like, what the fuck is that? He's like, it's the doggy Sherpa pack.
I sewed it from
he made a dog whistle, so
he did.
Exactly.
He's like, why do you think I have all these knives, man? I'm working leather here.
Oh my God. All right. Derek, what are your final impressions and lasting questions?
Yeah, so we did definitely see in this episode that the survivors are splitting between two camps, the caves and the beach, and I would choose the caves just because the water's there and I don't like the sun that much on me constantly. So it also showing apparently the people going to the caves, they've resigned themselves to that they're going to be there for a long time, if not ever. The people on the beach still have hope of rescue. And yeah, they could have done it where they signed a couple people to the beach, every night to keep the fire going. They didn't, have to permanently live there. And the biggest question is, of course, who is Adam and Eve? Or who were Adam and Eve?
Who were Adam and Eve? Well, I will tell you, Derek, you're going to have to wait a long time for that answer.
Like seasons?
That one's pretty far off.
Yeah, that's a ways off.
Just put that in your back pocket because you're not going to know for a while. All right. You know what? Next week. Coming up, the episode is called The Moth. It's a Charlie episode. Derek, get ready, because you are everybody.
All right. Going to be hearing that a lot.
It's coming. Ben's going to bring us the episode, and we'll see you all next week. Bye.
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 Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacy J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trent. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook to interact with your host. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube to watch our episode pre-shows. You can also find us at SpaceBear_media on Instagram and Twitter. Or come to our website, spacebearmedia.com.